Hi, I'm Manos Koutsis from the Greek Beat radio show, and we're coming to you here from inside the Greek Beat studio, and we have special guest Angelos Tsarouchas. How you doing?
Good, good, Manos.
Yeah?
Good to be here on the Greek Beat Comedy.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us.
That's a
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Pleasure.
So you got your show tomorrow. What's it called?
It's called the Skits and Wits,
Okay.
and this is the European version of it. We did it in Canada, U.S., Australia, New Zealand,
Perfect.
and now it's coming to, and this is the kickoff in Europe. So we started in London.
Yeah.
And it's going through about 8 or 9 countries, going to Greece, going to Cyprus, all those places. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Skits and Wits.
Skits and
How'd you
Wits.
come up with that name?
You know, it's funny. The last tour I did was mythology.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Which I liked it because
Yeah.
I felt like that's, and it's funny how I just feel lately it's been the way politics is going in America and the way the family unit, it's all skits and wits. Like people, because of TikTok and Instagram, people don't have the attention span anymore to sit there
Right.
and look at things too long. So I thought skits and wits.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about your comedy. Like, how did you get started in comedy?
Well, I listened to my friend's older brother had comedy albums. I was going to throw them out. And I'm going way back. I'm listening to Mort Saul, Bill Cosby, Red Fox, Jackie Mason. And then later on, of course, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, all these classic guys, Rodney Dangerfield, Sam Kinison. And I would listen to these guys doing stand-up and how empowering it was to be able to go into a room and make people laugh
Yeah.
with words.
Yeah. Right.
And describing things in stories. And I got hooked on it. And many years ago in Ottawa, Canada, there was a variety show called V6. And my friends were back. My friend said, "Ange, you're always quoting comedy and stuff. Why don't you do like 6-7 minute skit?" And I did a skit, and I did some of Rodney Dangerfield's jokes, and I wrote some of my own jokes for the school. And the needle got stuck in my arm, and I've been doing it pretty much ever since.
So funny you should say Rodney Dangerfield, because I often steal some of his jokes.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, a lot of the young comedians, they don't actually know his jokes.
They don't know
But
him.
I only steal them when I'm doing crowd work. Like one of my favorite ones is, I told my therapist I have suicidal tendency. She says, "Listen to me very carefully. From now on, I want you to pay me in advance."
Pay me in advance,
Which ones do you remember?
Oh, I remember, my wife said, "Take out the garbage." I said, "You cook it, you take it out." I got in a taxi. I said, "Take me back to a place for some action." He took me back to my place.
Yeah,
Who told you could screw my wife? He said, "Everybody."
Genius.
I mean, he was just so fast.
I heard
so
another
fast.
one the other day is I went to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting and they gave me 3-1. It's just so good.
He just had, we bought a new waterbed. I like to call it the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
All those Rodneyisms.
Yeah. He was so
Brilliant guy. And he did a lot for comedy. He helped a lot of comedians. There was HBO comedy special, and a lot of these comedians you see today, like Jay Leno and Tim Allen and so many other great comics came through that young comedian special.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. He's such a legend.
Really is.
So you're going across Europe.
Going across Europe. So with this Skits and Wits, starting in London, and then we're going to hit the ground running.
Great.
In Sweden and different. And I'm sure the show will evolve a bit too as I'm. It's funny when there's always a little bit of nervous energy before you go on stage, which is good.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be the guy, "I got this."
Yeah.
The minute a comedian has that attitude, the bravado, "I got this," and you're like, "Oh no!" And then you go up there and you're like, "I don't know what happened."
Every time I've said that, I've bombed, definitely.
Yeah, I always have a little bit of
on
nervous
stage,
energy, and I'm always thinking, take this joke. It's like, on CSI, they have that screen where they move stuff around their hands.
Yeah.
That's how my brain is.
Wow.
When you look at comedy, I'm like, on the airplane, I thought, I'll move this here, I'll put this here. And then I know even when we get to the theater tomorrow, it's going to change again, probably.
Wow. Can I ask you a question? Like, you play in so many different venues across the world. Like, is there one place that is very special to you to perform there?
As a venue or as a city?
Well, more as a venue, yeah. The space and also the people that come.
And then the
there,
people that go. You see, it's interesting. If you have a hot audience, doesn't matter where you are. It's always a lot of fun. The place that I'm really remembering, I ended up staying longer. Years ago, I was in Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh yeah.
At the Baxter Theatre, and I was there doing a show at the Grand West Casino, and I was supposed to do it for 3 weeks. I ended up staying for 9.
Wow.
And it was the best 9 weeks of my life.
Yeah,
I was single. I was in South Africa.
Yeah.
It's about 9 years after apartheid. Things are changing in this country. Beautiful people, beautiful food, beautiful everything. I mean, I can't. And that was, as an overall experience, I remember that vividly, And there's been so many great places. Like, I love performing in Canada, or Montreal and Toronto and Vancouver. I love performing in New York and Chicago and LA, Boston, Australia. I hold near and dear because going to Australia is like being home in Canada. So I'm playing in Melbourne and Sydney and Adelaide. And the thing, I don't know about comedy's taken me to places I would never go.
Right.
If it wasn't for what I do. It's interesting how doing this, Singapore, Hong Kong, Macau, Beijing, Shanghai, Pattaya, all these places that you get to go, and it plays with your mind sometimes because you're thinking, think about being a comic, or even most performers. You're traveling around the world in front of an audience you don't really know, looking for their approval.
Right.
So, and if they do know you, I'm lucky. During COVID, a lot of my videos went viral, so that you get the fan base that comes out, and I'm really appreciative of it because there's just so much content out there now.
Yeah, amazing. And do you watch a lot of other comedians? Do you go and watch shows of other comedians?
Like, I'm a fan of comedy.
Yeah.
I think what happens for most performers, you need the time to go watch other people.
Sure.
And I admire them. And then you don't want what they're talking about to bleed into your thoughts sometimes. Yeah,
right.
So it's a parallel universe. And, there are many times where comedians will do material or do stuff, and then you're like, I thought I came up with this. And then you find out, oh, no, Bill Burr does it, or Russell Peters does it, whatever. Yeah. It's one of those things where you got to be like, so I try not to.
Yeah.
Although I love comedy, and I watch the bits like everybody else. I watch on TikTok or Instagram, that kind of stuff.
That's good to hear, because I'm kind of like that, because I'm associated a lot with comedy, but I just like to watch tragedy. It's I want to see people suffering a lot, but so nowadays, with social media and everything, obviously you were saying that it helped your videos go viral, but what do you think as a comedian, where now things are changing so much that you have to have a lot of followers, and a lot of comedians are becoming known from social media?
Well, here's the nice thing about social media. The nice thing about social media, everybody gets to see it. The bad thing about social media, everyone gets to see it. So, I mean, I think I've done a lot of skits and collaborated with a lot of great performers. A lot of my old skits, talking about the things backwards with my dyslexia in Greece, that Greeks had never heard about, and then it got really popular, and everybody started watching it, which is cool. I've also seen some of my older material get reenacted.
Oh, wow.
So it's not so much that they're doing the joke as much as they're acting it out.
Right.
Or you get fitness guys going, now, mind you, I didn't write that.
Yeah.
But the rule in comedy is whoever puts it out first, usually that's theirs. But I think the lines are getting blurred.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of people, you'll notice some stuff. I've noticed the trend, like Sushi Mango are these great comedians from Australia. And they wear dresses and stuff. Now I got to be another 25, 30 Italian, whether they're Canadian, American, all these other comics now wearing dresses, kind of doing the same thing. So I think what happens is that it's good to have it. I think social media is endless. It doesn't end. And I think sometimes I get annoyed with it only because it's like, I'll post new clips. Now that I'm going to do this tour, I thought, okay, every city I go to, I'll do a little clip. I'm in London, I'm in Gothenburg, I'm in Munich, whatever, something like that. But it's also like, it's a full-time job. It really is a full-time job. You got to be on it, editing and all this kind of stuff. And I know a lot of people do get annoyed with it, Mano, because they're like, well, let the comedies, now it's not just doing stand-up, you got to show the audience with you now. So you got to hire somebody to, like you're doing a joke and then they show the reaction and then you're back and I'm like, like what's next? I don't know. It's just, but I could be old and cranky now.
Yeah, you got that right.
And then you got other people will tell you that it's nice, but then I think it's in perpetuity. It's not ending. Like you constantly got to put up stuff, so.
Yeah, I always find that my best shows are when I don't have it recorded.
Right.
It just gives me a sort of a freedom to not worry about
just
it.
to do it,
Yeah.
And that's also another. If you're making a comedy soup, that's a good component you brought up. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, is there a formula? I wouldn't call it a formula as much as I would call it an outline.
Right.
Right? So, for instance, know your audience. Have the stories, like I was telling you here, CSI, my stories.
Yeah.
And it's I've already changed it 2-3 times. I'll probably change it again. and have fun. You ever go to a house party and there's always, everybody ends up in the kitchen and there's always a guy or a girl telling jokes about something.
Yeah.
The guy, or even going to IKEA. I was at IKEA, the guy took my parking spot, and I looked at the guy holding meatballs. What's your problem? Oh my God, the yellow, blue flag, friggin' Swedes, it's some people just have a natural ability to tell the story. And I think that's what people like that.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
So yes, you got to write and make it poignant, but you also got to make it entertaining too.
All right. So also, we got cancel culture. What are your thoughts about that, doing comedy?
Well, here's my thought about it. If they can't take a joke, them. But at the same time, it's like,
that's right.
There's a fine line. So again, here's the rule. I've talked about this on podcasts. As a comedian, you should be allowed to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you should say whatever you want. With that, there are consequences.
Sure.
So there have been some comics that said, screw it, I'm going to say this, whatever. But there are consequences now. And it's funny because there's certain words we used to use that you can't use anymore.
Right.
And in a different era, a different time, right? And people are like, like now you can't, even if you say the word trigger word, if you say, what's your trigger word? Are you mocking us? Well, no, but isn't that what you call it?
Yeah.
So, and then there's like the tone police. Mano, I didn't mind your joke, but it was a little Tony.
Yeah.
Like a little Tony, like a little man from Italy, a little Tony.
Yeah.
And it's a little Tony, but the truth of the matter is, it's that. See, you can do a play on words like we just did. Play on words.
Yeah.
And I always said this: if it's true, it's funny.
Yeah.
Because comedy, Aristophanes, comedy is tragedy plus time.
Yeah.
So, for instance, regardless of what you're, and everybody's got to be careful of it now. Radio, television, print. You say one thing out of context, and people just kind of like, you're a misogynist, or you're this, or you're that. So, if you're easily offended, don't go to a comedy show.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go there and
just don't leave the house at all, I think.
Yeah, go to the doctor, take the stick that's been inserted up your ass and remove it, because you
dangerous world out there.
Right. And I think like again, I said, it's like, I think a comedian should be allowed to say whatever they want.
Yeah.
But having said that, there are consequences.
Yeah.
So you have to think to yourself, I think most people know the answer. Like when Roseanne Barr got drunk and high, so her show's back on track with 30 million viewers a week. Okay.
Nice.
She gets drunk and high, and she does that thing about the lady that worked for Barack Obama at the time, formerly president of the United States, and said she looks like the Muslim Brotherhood met Planet of the Apes. Now, in America, the Muslim Brotherhood thing, probably it would offend some people, but I think Planet of the Apes, absolutely not.
Wow.
And it's racist. And I think she's a moron anyway, for my own personal reasons. And I'm not even scared to say it on camera. So I key them, I could care less about her.
Yeah.
But a funny thing about her is that she said, "Well, I took Ambien." You know, the Ambien.
Yeah.
And
right.
Ambien on Twitter or X or whatever Elon Musk calls it this week
Yeah.
came out and said racism is not a side effect of Ambien.
Oh wow.
Which see that there. So from a disaster came something funny.
Yeah.
So whoever was the PR person for Ambien
Yeah.
came out on Twitter and said,
Yeah.
or X and said, by the way, racism is not a
Yeah.
side effect.
I mean, if it's an antidepressant, it should do the opposite.
It should do
I
the
guess.
opposite. So it was kind of funny how she tried to blame it on them, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
you knew what you were doing, you did it, you got caught.
What do you think's the future of comedy?
Well, look, I totally agree with that statement that everybody's playing it safe because you got the dancers and you got the thing like the Hawk Tui girl. She's just taken off. She said, "I just spit on that thing, go Hawk Tui." And now she's got an agent. She made a couple $1 million. She's probably going to get her own movie, sitcom, everything. So she's pretty and young and Hawk Tui. Who knew that Hawk Tui was... People, there's brilliant comedy writers and satirists and Hawk Tui that shows you where comedy is sometimes. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So I think that... I like the edgy comics. I have a friend of mine who used to be in England. Now he's in Austin. Jason Rouse, who pushes it to the edge.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison and those guys. I think
Yeah.
every now and then I think every comic has a couple of big bullets in their rifle. They want to pull them out. Yeah. And people that but I've also had people tell me, I appreciated your show. You didn't have to use a lot of profanity. You were very funny telling us your story. So I also think we're complacent as a society that people, it's like, I love hot sauce. Well, how hot? Oh, I can handle it. And then you give them, this is too hot.
Yeah.
What they're saying is that I like the idea of hot sauce.
Yeah.
Don't give me too much of it.
Right. I always find as well when you say something deep to people, they say like, especially over here, they're just like, "Oh, it's too early to be that deep. It's too late to be that deep."
Get that.
It's never the right time. When is the right time?
When's the right time for it? So
Let's just
comedy, if you think about it, comedy is really still the last bastion of free speech. So it's comedy. We're commentating on society. Jon Stewart. All these Bill Maher, great examples of people commenting on society. They're eating their dogs, they're eating their cats. How can you not can you not get comedy out of it? I mean, whether you're Republican or Democrats, and I had this argument with a guy, I go, dude, you gotta look at the funny here.
Yeah.
In Springfield, Ohio, they're eating dogs and cats. My uncle called from Greece. Then I get the fagita. You have no food. It goes out because they're interpreting it a different way. But how can you not? People wrote songs about it. It's just maybe there are. I'm sure there's people that eat it in the world, but on a presidential debate is not the place to bring it up.
Yeah.
But you see, he did, and look the consequences.
Yeah.
He's paying for it now.
I think, though, looking at it historically, you said about Aristophanes, and I'm pretty sure there were some politicians who wanted him dead.
For sure.
When he was doing it. Molière as well, he took some big risks.
Big risks to do it.
Even, Shakespeare. So maybe nothing's changed. Maybe it's just, maybe it's actually safer now than it ever was because you just get canceled instead of killed.
It could be. Right? No, it could be.
But I don't know.
But you see, it's like a thermostat. So now comedy is a thermostat.
Yeah.
Do we keep it at room temperature?
Right.
Do we make it really cold? Do we make it really hot? And I think most people now are like, let's just keep it at 72.
Right. They want to control it.
They want to control at 72. But I always say, if something's funny, then you got to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
And people are like, I didn't like that. Was it necessary? And I'm like, really? Are we that offended?
Yeah. Yeah, what does it do at the end
I had
of
a
the
friend
day?
of mine, she said to me, I said, I went to high school with you. You get hammered, made out with everybody. And I mean, now you're this prim and proper person. I think we forget. Comedy is comedy is a reminder to live life. That's what it is. Comedy is a reminder to live life. Laugh.
Yeah.
Listen, if people laugh, they release endorphins, and it goes all their horny parts, and then they have sex. And then they get happy.
Perfect.
Euphoria.
And that's what the Greeks did when they did the plays. They had the orgies on the in honor of Dionysus.
Remember Dionysus, the artichoke, women with artichokes, and the god of wine and fertility.
There was wine,
I played Signor Brigante on the Renaissance. Not Renaissance, the Italian, the Harlequin.
Oh, Commedia dell'arte.
Commedia dell'arte.
Yes,
Commedia dell'arte. I played Signor Brigante.
Yeah.
And Francesina. It was over. That was your first soap operas.
Yeah.
Do you have a dowry to take my daughter? No. And then, Dad, are you sleeping with the travel agent? All this.
Yeah.
It's always ding ding. It's a comedy of errors, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Yeah.
Takes people, I think, what we do as comedians is take people maybe out of their ordinary life and bring them somewhere for an hour or so.
Yeah.
Let them see something different. Let them get away from it.
Yeah.
Whatever they're doing. Then you've done your job as a comic.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And I mean, who do you look up to from the comics today? Let's see, or.
Well, my best friend is Russell Peters, and I've seen his career grow like amazingly, internationally, such a huge comic.
Yeah.
And I like, I mean, there are guys, there's Brian, there's one comic in LA. He was on the Netflix documentary, Brian, not Gallagher, what's his name?
Monarch?
Not Monarch. You're close.
Yeah,
I can't remember his.
He does the Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, there's a lot of great comics, that you watch.
Yeah.
Guys, I got to work with most of those guys, and it's good. I mean, I like if I get a chance, I'll watch them. I even like Will Ferrell. So silly, he does funny stuff,
Yeah.
I watched Zoolander again. How can you not laugh at that?
Yeah, that was
How
brilliant.
do you expect those people to live in such a tiny little house?
Yeah.
I mean, all this there. I love when they take the piss out of stereotypes. Zoolander, Tropic Thunder. I love those kind of movies because it's like gives you a chance to laugh at this stuff.
Just wanted to ask a bit more personal question. Do you ever fear that you're not funny?
I think every comic does.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think every comic does. I think I told you earlier, if you go on stage thinking I got this, that's usually when you eat the biggest
Right.
So I think every comic, I always think, are they going to laugh again?
Yeah.
I mean, you have that in your head. I'm like, I'm going here to here, and I got these stories, and there's really no sense of knowing if it's going to work or not. The only way you're going to know if it works is if you get on stage.
Yeah.
And you have a sense of packaging. You can package it, but you still got to put the goods in the package.
And you know what I think is interesting as well is that with AI now, AI still can't write good jokes. That's comforting for comedians.
It is, but AI scared me with one thing.
Yeah.
They put all the, George Carlin stuff in, and AI made a 1 hour special
I saw
of it.
that, yeah.
And you're watching it going,
yeah.
You couldn't tell if it was or wasn't. So that's
it was
kind
more
of
the
scary.
tone though that
Right.
was, spot on. But
I need a place for my stuff,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is the entry. We're just getting into the entry of AI. Are they tune this thing up? Are they going to be able to you're going to throw stuff in and it's going to take your likeness and then just blend it It's going to make you like a frappuccino. We're just going to put the ingredients in it and then let it spin by itself, and then there you go.
Let's just kill it, please.
Yeah.
Let's just get rid of it. Finally, here's the classic cliche question. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get into comedy?
Here's the best advice someone told me, and I learned a long time ago. Get on stage as much as you can anywhere. Comedy club, open mic night, for friends in a band or something, ask if you can go on and do 5 minutes before them.
Okay.
And on your, we have these little things called iPhones and Androids.
Yeah.
There's a little note section.
Yeah.
If you get an idea, don't be like me where I forget. Just jot it down.
Right.
Because then later on you're like, oh shit, I had that idea. What was it?
Yeah.
It was funny, and I forgot about it. But you could only get better the more times you get on stage.
Yeah.
The more you get on stage, the better you're going to get. Wow. It's like exercising. You know, you really, that, in my opinion, that's the best way. Get on stage, get on stage. And I know it's difficult because a lot of people want to do it. If you can't get on the traditional way, find other ways to do it, because there are other ways to get on stage.
True.
You know,
the world's a stage.
The world's
you just
a stage.
go on the street, I guess, right? Like, even if you just do it in front of 2-3 friends, maybe.
Doesn't matter. Just go do it, you know, at a party, whatever, house party. Put on your own shows if you have to, if you're passionate enough about it. But that's, to me, you can write, but as a comedian, you need to get on stage to know, like, to get the interaction, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. It allows you to feel the audience, and then you're editing as you're doing the joke. When you get off stage, you'll say, I should have moved this there and that over here. You know, it just, that's what comics. A comic's routine is never finished.
Right.
Never. Because even I work with Bill Burr.
Oh, yeah.
And John Farrell with Vince Vaughn. I was on the Vince Vaughn Wild West comedy tour.
Wow.
And I watched Bill Burr, who's a master. He came off, he goes, yeah, I didn't like, everybody's laughing and clapping.
Oh, no.
And Bill Burr's like, I didn't like that. Remember that one joke? I have to move that.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, there could be 5,000 people laughing. All we see is the one that's not laughing.
Yeah.
How come this person's not laughing?
I just wish comedians could enjoy themselves more.
Yeah, it's
so much joy they bring to the audience.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's like, it's so
torture.
It's like a torture. Like, I could tell you, I'm tired. I flew in from LA. I'm this, I'm that, and then I get on stage. Hey, how's it going? You know. So, but I think we're also tortured.
Yeah.
But it's like we're masochists. We love the punishment. The idea that it's also a thing that we don't know if it's going to work. So it's almost like trying a new drug every time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do this. Oh, fuck, I went up there. I screwed it up.
Yeah.
Or they laugh at the setup. And you're like, they're laughing at this. You know, like, so I'll tell people, I went to a fitness gym.
Yeah.
And they're laughing.
Yeah.
I go, what?
Yeah.
Because they're already, they've already painted the picture.
Yeah.
You're at a fitness gym? Why?
Yeah.
and I go, I haven't finished yet. You know, I said, I want to use your bathroom. Or so, you put the tag on afterwards. You get at it. But sometimes the audience helps you write the joke.
True.
It helps you write the joke. So you got to go with it.
Well, thank you again, Angelo, so much for coming on. And we wish you all the best of luck with your tour, and hope you keep bringing great comedy to us around the world.
Thanks, pal.
Thank you very much.